Day wiped the grease from his hands and stared at the broken engine in front of him. It was his 5th repair of the day, and the sun was already setting over New Sol spaceport. The alien ship before him was unlike anything he had worked on before. Its metal was smooth and silver, almost alive under his touch. He climbed into the cargo bay, his toolbox clanking against the metal floor. The inside of the ship was dark and cold. Day turned on his headlamp and moved deeper into the vessel. Everything was quiet except for the sound of his boots on the floor. Then something crashed into his shoulder. Day stumbled backward, his heart racing. A small creature clung to him, its tiny claws digging into his work jacket. It was no bigger than a cat, with scales that shimmered like crystal in his headlamp. The creature had wings like thin paper, and its eyes changed colors from blue to green to gold. What the? Day reached up to pull it off. But the creature wrapped its tail around his neck and made a soft purring sound. It felt warm against his skin, almost comforting. Step away from the dragon, human. Day turned quickly. A woman stood in the shadows of the cargo bay. She was tall and thin, with skin as pale as moonlight. Her eyes were completely black, like 2 pools of ink. When she spoke, he saw her teeth were sharp and pointed. Dragon. Day looked at the creature on his shoulder. It purred louder and nuzzled against his neck. The woman walked forward into the light. She wore a long black coat that seemed to move on its own. Her face was beautiful but cold, like a statue carved from ice. "My name is Kalia," she said. Her voice was soft but had an edge to it. "That creature on your shoulder is my child. Give it back." Day tried to pull the dragon off again, but it held on tighter. Its purring grew louder, and he felt a strange warmth spreading through his chest. "I'm trying," Day said. "It won't let go." Kalia's eyes widened. She took a step back, and for the first time she looked afraid. "No," she whispered. "That's impossible." "What's impossible?" Day asked. The dragon on his shoulder chirped happily. Kalia stared at him for a long moment. Her hands were shaking slightly. "My dragon selected you, human. This should not be happening." Before Day could respond, heavy footsteps echoed through the cargo bay. His supervisor, Tay, appeared at the entrance. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He looked at Day, then at the dragon, then at Kalia. "What's going on here?" Tay asked. Kalia straightened her back and lifted her chin. "I am Princess Kalia of the Veshtar. This human has been chosen by my dragon." Tay's face went pale. He grabbed Day's arm and pulled him aside. "Do you know what you've done?" Tay whispered urgently. "I didn't do anything," Day protested. "The thing just jumped on me." "That thing is a Veshtar dragon," Tay said. "They bond once in their entire life. If you refuse the bond, it's a serious insult to their whole species. We could start a war." Day looked at the small creature on his shoulder. It was watching him with intelligent eyes. "What does bonding mean?" "It means the dragon chose you as its partner for life," Tay explained. "It's the highest honor in Veshtar culture. It also means you're stuck with it." The dragon chirped and licked Day's cheek with a tiny forked tongue. Despite the strangeness of the situation, Day felt himself smiling. Kalia walked over to them. "The bond cannot be broken once formed," she said. "My dragon will die if separated from you for too long." "Die?" Day's smile faded. "But I don't know anything about dragons." "That makes 2 of us," Kalia said bitterly. She looked at her dragon with a mix of love and frustration. "No dragon has ever chosen a human before. Your kind has only been in space for 5 years. You are still children in the eyes of the galaxy." Day felt anger rise in his chest. "We're not children, no?" Kalia raised one eyebrow. "Your ships barely fly. Your weapons are primitive. Your understanding of the universe is limited." She gestured at the dragon. "And yet somehow my precious Ember chose you over any Veshtar noble." "Ember?" Day asked. The dragon chirped at the sound of its name. Kalia sighed. "Yes, that is its name. I hatched Ember 3 days ago. The bonding was supposed to happen in 6 months. After proper preparation." She glared at Day. "Instead, my dragon bonded with the first mechanic it saw." "I'm a good mechanic," Day said defensively. "That is irrelevant," Kalia snapped. She paced back and forth, her coat swirling around her legs. "According to our laws, I must stay with Ember during its first year of life. The first year is critical for development." Tay cleared his throat. "So you'll be staying on Earth?" Kalia stopped pacing. She looked horrified at the thought. "It appears I have no choice. My honor and my child's life depend on it." She turned to Day. "Where do you live, human?" "Day," he said. "My name is Day. Where do you live, Day?" Kalia asked, pronouncing his name carefully. I have a small apartment near the spaceport, Day said. He couldn't believe what was happening. An hour ago, his biggest problem was a broken engine. Now he had a dragon on his shoulder and an alien princess who needed a place to stay. Ember chirped and spread its tiny wings. The wings caught the light and created rainbow patterns on the walls. Your apartment will have to do, Kalia said. She didn't sound happy about it. Gather whatever tools you need. We leave now. Wait, Day said. Don't I get a say in this? Kalia and Tay both looked at him seriously. No, they said at the same time. Ember purred and nuzzled closer to Day's neck. The dragon's warmth spread through his whole body now. It felt like coming home after a long day, like drinking hot tea on a cold morning, like everything would be okay. Maybe having a dragon wasn't the worst thing that could happen. Day grabbed his toolbox and followed Kalia out of the cargo bay. Tay watched them go, shaking his head. Be careful, Day, Tay called after him. The Veshtar are not what they seem. Kalia didn't respond, but her shoulders tensed. As they walked through the spaceport, people stopped and stared. It wasn't every day you saw a human mechanic with a dragon on his shoulder and an alien princess by his side. Ember seemed to enjoy the attention, chirping and showing off its wings. Day's life had just become very complicated. He had a feeling things were only going to get stranger from here. But as Ember settled comfortably on his shoulder, Day realized something important. For the first time in his quiet, ordinary life, he felt like he mattered. The dragon had chosen him out of everyone in the galaxy. That had to mean something, even if he had no idea what. Dee's apartment had never felt smaller. Kalia stood in the middle of his living room, looking at everything with obvious disgust. Her black eyes scanned the worn couch, the small kitchen, and the single window that looked out over the city. This is where you live? She asked. It's not much, but it's home, Day said. He set his toolbox down by the door. Ember was still on his shoulder, now sleeping peacefully. The dragon's soft breathing tickled his neck. Kalia walked to the window and stared out at New Sol. The city lights were just beginning to turn on. My quarters on the homeworld have 15 rooms. The ceiling in my bathing chamber is higher than this entire dwelling. Well, this is what you get on a mechanic's salary, Day said. He was getting tired of her attitude. If you don't like it, you can leave. Kalia turned to face him. For a moment, her expression softened. I cannot. Ember needs us both. As if responding to its name, Ember woke up and chirped. The dragon stretched its wings and jumped off Day's shoulder. It landed on the floor and immediately started exploring the apartment. Everything seemed to fascinate the little creature. Does it eat? Day asked. Dragons feed on energy, Kalia explained. She sat down on the couch, moving carefully as if it might break. Ember will absorb what it needs from you through the bond. From me? Day felt a flash of worry. Is that dangerous? Not if the bond is healthy, Kalia said. The dragon takes only what you can spare. In return, it will make you stronger. Ember found Day's collection of old mechanical parts and started playing with them. The dragon pushed a gear across the floor with its nose, clearly delighted. Over the next few days, a strange routine developed. Day went to work at the spaceport while Kalia stayed in the apartment with Ember. The dragon was growing fast. By the third day, it was already the size of a small dog. Its scales had become brighter, and its wings were stronger. Kalia spent most of her time teaching Ember basic commands. She spoke to the dragon in her own language, a musical sound that Day couldn't understand. But he noticed that Ember responded to his thoughts too. If Day thought about food, Ember would look toward the kitchen. If Day felt tired, Ember would curl up and rest. The bond is developing quickly, Kalia observed one evening. They were sitting at Day's small kitchen table eating dinner. While Day was eating, Kalia had her own food, a dark purple liquid that she drank slowly. What does that mean? Day asked. It means you and Ember are connecting on a deep level, Kalia said. Usually this takes months. For you, it's happening in days. Ember was on the floor playing with a ball Day had found. The dragon would push the ball with its head, then chase it around the room. Why did Ember choose me? Day asked. It was a question that had been bothering him since the beginning. Kalia was quiet for a long moment. I don't know, she admitted. Dragons bond with those who have strong spirits. They can sense something in a person that others cannot see. She looked at him with her dark eyes. Ember saw something in you. The next day, Day brought his friend Hana to meet Ember. Hana was a xenobiologist who studied alien life forms. She worked at the Earth Science Center and had been excited when Day told her about the dragon. Hana was a cheerful woman with short black hair and quick movements. She came into the apartment carrying several devices for scanning. "This is incredible," Hana said when she saw Ember. The dragon was now large enough to reach Day's waist when standing. "Can I examine it?" Kalia looked suspicious. "What will you do?" "Just some basic scans," Hana promised. "I want to understand the bond better." After some convincing, Kalia agreed. Hana spent the next hour scanning both Day and Ember. She asked them to stand close together, then far apart. She measured their brain waves and energy fields. Finally, Hana sat back and stared at her readings. "This is impossible," she whispered. "What is?" Day asked. Hana showed them the screen. "Ember is amplifying your bioelectric field. Your brain activity is 40% higher than normal. Your reflexes have improved. Even your eyesight is better." "That's good, right?" Day said. "It's amazing," Hana said. "But here's the strange part. Humans produce an energy signature that I've never seen in any other species. It's like Ember is designed to work with humans specifically." Kalia stood up quickly. "That's impossible. Veshtar dragons have existed for thousands of years. Humans only reached space 5 years ago." "I'm just telling you what the data shows," Hana said. She looked at Kalia carefully. "Has a dragon ever bonded with a human before?" "No," Kalia said. "Never." "Then maybe there's something about humans that dragons need," Hana suggested. "Something they can't get from Veshitar." Kalia looked angry at the suggestion, but she didn't argue. Later that night, after Hana left, Day's friend Wu came by. Wu was a lieutenant in Earth's Defense Force. He was tall and muscular, with a serious face and suspicious eyes. "I don't trust her," Wu said, pointing at Kalia. He kept his voice low, but Kalia could definitely hear him from across the room. "The Veshitar have a reputation. They're manipulators." "She's been helpful," Day said. "She's teaching me about Ember." "Or she's using you for something," Wu said. "Think about it, Day. Why was she on Earth? Why did her ship crash? It's all too convenient." Day wanted to argue, but he realized he didn't know much about Kalia at all. She had never explained why she was on Earth in the first place. That night, Day couldn't sleep. He lay in his bed thinking about Wu's words. Ember was curled up next to him, breathing softly. The dragon had gotten into the habit of sleeping beside Day every night. Around midnight, Day heard soft sounds from the living room. He got up quietly and peeked through the door. Kalia was standing by the window looking out at the city. She looked sad and alone. "Can't sleep?" Day asked. Kalia turned quickly, startled. "I didn't mean to wake you." "You didn't," Day said. He walked into the living room. "Are you okay?" Kalia was quiet for a moment. "I miss my home," she said softly. "I miss the red skies and the silver towers. I miss my family." She looked at Ember, who had followed Day into the room. "But I would miss Ember more. Why were you on Earth?" Day asked gently. Kalia tensed. "That's not your concern." "We're living together," Day said. "Ember bonded us. Maybe it is my concern." Kalia stared at him for a long time. Finally, she sighed. "I was running away," she admitted. "From a marriage I didn't want. From a life that wasn't mine to choose. And the ship crash was real," Kalia said. "I was attacked by those who want to bring me back. I came to Earth because I thought no one would look for me here." She laughed bitterly. "I was wrong." Before Day could respond, Ember suddenly jumped to attention. The dragon's scales started glowing with a bright light. Day felt a sharp pain in his head and images flooded his mind. He saw ships in orbit. He saw soldiers with weapons. He saw danger coming. "What's happening?" Kalia grabbed Ember. Day fell to his knees, holding his head. The images were so clear, so real. "I can see something. Ships, people coming for us." Kalia's face went pale. "The bond. It's showing you what Ember senses." She looked out the window nervously. "We need to leave now." But it was already too late. The lights in the apartment went out, and armed figures appeared at the door. The armed figures didn't attack. Instead, they stood at attention as an older Veshtar woman walked through the door. She wore robes of deep purple and carried herself like royalty, her black eyes fixed on Kalia with cold anger. "Princess Kalia," the woman said, "the High Council demands your return." Kalia stepped in front of Ember protectively. "I will not go back, Mother." Day's eyes widened. This was Kalia's mother, the Queen of the Veshtar. "You shame our family," the Queen said. Her voice was like ice, running away like a child. And now this. She looked at Day with disgust. Your dragon bonded with a human. Do you understand what this means? It means Ember chose wisely, Kalia said firmly. The queen's face twisted with rage, but before she could speak, more figures entered the apartment. These were not Veshitar. There were aliens from different species, all wearing official-looking uniforms. A short blue alien stepped forward. I am Ambassador Nix of the Galactic Coalition. We received reports of an unprecedented bonding event. This is a private matter, the queen said coldly. Not anymore, Ambassador Nix replied. A human bonding with a Veshtar dragon affects all species. We must study this. Day felt anger rising in his chest. I'm not a lab experiment. Of course not, Nix said, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. We simply want to understand how this happened. For science. Over the next week, Day's life became chaos. Scientists from different planets came to examine him and Ember. Politicians argued about what the bonding meant. News reporters camped outside his apartment building. Earth's government offered him protection, but only if he agreed to become an official ambassador. Day refused everything. He just wanted his normal life back. Kalia stayed by his side through it all. She dealt with the politicians and scientists, protecting both Day and Ember from the worst of it. Day noticed that she never slept, always watching for danger. One night, after another exhausting day of tests and questions, Kalia sat down next to Day on the couch. Ember was sleeping between them, now the size of a large dog. I need to tell you the truth, Kalia said quietly. All of it. Day waited, listening. I am not just a princess, Kalia began. I am first in line for the throne. When my mother dies, I will rule the Veshtar. She looked down at her hands. The marriage they arranged was to a powerful lord named Vex. He controls half our military. My mother wants the alliance, but you don't want to marry him, Day said. Vex is cruel, Kalia said, her voice shaking slightly. He sees people as tools. He experiments on dragons, trying to control them. When I found out I was carrying Ember's egg, I knew I had to protect my child. So you ran. I fled in secret, Kalia continued. I planned to hide until Ember bonded with someone I could trust. Someone who would help me stop Vex. She looked at Day. I never imagined Ember would choose a human. Day understood now. That's why your mother is angry. You didn't just run from a marriage. You changed the political future of your entire species. Kalia nodded. And now everyone wants to use this bonding for their own purposes. The next day, Hana came running into the apartment, her face excited. I found something, she said breathlessly. She pulled out her datapad and showed them complex genetic charts. I've been studying human DNA, comparing it to other species. There's a sequence in our genes that's dormant, inactive. What does it do? T asked. I don't know, Hana admitted. But when I tested your DNA after you bonded with Ember, that sequence activated. It's like dragons unlock something in humans that's been sleeping for thousands of years. Kalia stared at the charts. That's impossible. Humans are a new species, are we? Hana asked. What if humans are older than we think? What if we were connected to dragons a long time ago and we just forgot? Before they could discuss it further, the windows exploded inward. Day dove to the floor, covering Ember with his body. Glass rained down around them. Dark figures in combat armor repelled through the broken windows. Get down, Wu's voice shouted from the doorway. He fired his weapon at the attackers, but there were too many of them. They surrounded Kalia, their weapons aimed at her heart. One of them removed his helmet, revealing a Veshtar man with cold, cruel eyes. Hello, my bride, Vex said with a smile. Time to come home. Never, Kalia hissed. Vex laughed. I don't need your permission. He looked at Day and Ember. And I don't need your pet dragon or its human. Kill them both. Time seemed to slow down. Day saw the weapons turning toward him and Ember. He felt the dragon's fear mixing with his own. And then something inside him snapped. Power exploded through Day's body. He didn't know where it came from. But suddenly he could move faster than he ever had before. His muscles burned with energy. His mind connected fully with Ember, and they moved as one. Ember roared, a sound much bigger than its small body should make. Light burst from the dragon's scales, blinding the attackers. Day grabbed the nearest soldier and threw him across the room with strength he didn't know he had. Together, Day and Ember fought like a single creature. Every time Day moved, Ember was there to support him. Every time Ember attacked, Day knew exactly what to do. They were perfect partners moving in harmony. Within minutes, all of Vex's soldiers were unconscious on the floor. Vex himself stood frozen, his face shocked. "What are you?" Vex whispered, staring at Day. Day didn't have an answer. He was breathing hard, his body still glowing with strange energy. Ember stood next to him, looking fierce despite its small size. "He's what we were supposed to be," Kalia said. She walked forward and stood between Day and Vex. "He's what you'll never be." Vex's face twisted with hatred. "This isn't over." He pressed a button on his armor and vanished in a flash of light, teleporting away. The apartment was destroyed. Furniture was broken, walls were cracked, and glass covered everything. Wu stood at the door, his mouth hanging open. "What just happened?" Wu asked. Tay appeared behind him, his old eyes sharp. "The bond activated fully. Day is no longer just human." Over the next few days, the truth came out. Videos of the fight spread across the galaxy. Everyone saw what Day and Ember could do together. The Galactic Coalition called an emergency meeting. Ambassador Nix came to Day with an offer. "Earth wants you to be their first dragon ambassador. You would represent humanity and help other humans bond with dragons. And if I refuse?" Tai asked. Nix's friendly face turned cold. "Then we take Ember by force. For the good of the galaxy." Kalia grabbed Day's hand. "You can't let them." But Day was tired of being pushed around. He stood up and looked Nix in the eye. "I refuse both of your options. Ember is not property. I am not a tool. We don't belong to Earth or the Coalition." Nix's face turned purple with rage. "You're making a big mistake, human." "Maybe," Day said. "But it's my mistake to make." That night, Earth's government declared Day a fugitive. The Veshitar High Council put a price on his head. The Galactic Coalition wanted him captured alive for study. Day packed a small bag and looked at his destroyed apartment. This had been his home for 3 years. Now he could never come back. Kalia stood next to him. "I'm coming with you." "You don't have to," Day said. "Yes, I do," Kalia said firmly. "You saved my life. You protected Ember and—" She hesitated. "You're the first person who ever treated me like I was more than just a princess." Wu appeared with Hana and Tay. "We're coming too," Wu said. "Someone has to keep you alive." Tay handed Day a keycard. "There's a ship in Bay 12. I've been preparing it for years, waiting for the right time." He smiled sadly. "I think this is it." As they sneaked through the spaceport toward the ship, Ember walked beside Day. The dragon had grown again, now reaching up to Day's chest. Its scales glowed softly in the darkness, lighting their way. "Where will we go?" Day asked. Hana pulled out a star chart. "I found something in the old records. A dead planet called Thalrin. It was abandoned thousands of years ago." "Why would we go there?" Kalia asked. "Because," Hana said, "it was the original home of the Dragon Riders." The stolen ship cut through space at maximum speed. Day sat in the pilot's chair, learning the controls as they flew. Tay had modified the ship with parts from a dozen different species. It was fast, quiet, and almost impossible to track. Behind him, Kalia stood looking out at the stars. Ember was curled around her feet, growing larger every day. The dragon was now the size of a wolf, its wings strong enough to carry its own weight. "Are you sure about this?" Kalia asked quietly. Day didn't answer right away. He had given up everything. His job, his home, his planet. Earth's government had frozen his accounts and declared him a traitor. His face was on every news screen in the galaxy. "No," Day finally said. "But I'm sure about Ember. I won't let anyone use my dragon as a weapon or a tool." Kalia smiled, a rare expression on her usually cold face. "Your dragon? You say it like you own Ember." "I don't own Ember," Day corrected. "We're partners." In the back of the ship, Hana was working on her research. She had brought all her data about the human-dragon bond. Wu was checking their weapons, preparing for trouble. He didn't trust that they had escaped so easily. He was right to worry. 3 days into their journey, the ship's alarms blared. Wu ran to the controls, his face grim. "We've got company," he said. 5 ships closing fast." Day checked the scanners. His heart sank when he saw the markings. Veshitar military. "They found us," Kalia said, her voice tight with fear. The communication system crackled to life. Vex's cruel face appeared on the screen. "Hello again, little princess," Vex said with a smile. "Did you really think you could run from me?" "What do you want, Vex?" Kalia demanded. "Simple," Vex said. "Return to the homeworld. Marry me as planned. And give me that dragon." "Never," Kalia and Day said at the same time. Vex's smile faded. Then I'll take the dragon from your corpses. Open fire. The ship shook as weapons hit their shields. Wu grabbed the controls and started evasive maneuvers. Dee strapped himself into the co-pilot seat, helping navigate through the attack. We can't outrun them, Wu said. Their ships are faster. Ember started glowing, the dragon's scales pulsing with light. Day felt power flowing through the bond, filling his body with energy. Images flashed through his mind. Plans, ideas, possibilities, I can stop them, Day said. How? Kalia asked. Day didn't explain. He just opened the airlock and walked toward it. The others shouted at him to stop, but he couldn't hear them. The bond with Ember was too strong now, their minds too connected. Trust me, Day said to Kalia. Then he jumped into space. For a moment, there was nothing but darkness and cold. Then Ember dove after him, wings spread wide. The dragon caught Day in mid-space and they merged. Not physically, but mentally. Day's consciousness expanded, seeing through Ember's eyes, feeling through Ember's senses. Together, they flew between the attacking ships. Energy poured from Ember's body, forming shields that deflected weapons fire. Day's human creativity combined with Ember's dragon instincts created something new, something powerful. They moved like lightning, disabling ship after ship with precise strikes. Not killing, just stopping the engines, breaking the weapons. Within minutes, all 5 Veshtar ships floated helpless in space. Day and Ember returned to their own ship. The airlock closed behind them and the connection broke. Day collapsed on the floor, exhausted. Ember curled around him protectively. That was incredible, Hana whispered. You two moved like one being. Tay helped Day to his feet. That was very dangerous. The bond is not meant to be used that way, not yet. But it worked, Wu said, respect clear in his voice. They escaped while Vex's ships floated dead in space. But Day knew this was only the beginning. Vex would come after them again, stronger next time. 5 more days passed before they reached Thalaran. The planet appeared on their screens, gray and lifeless. No atmosphere, no plants, no water, just rocks and ruins. Are you sure this is the right place? Wu asked Hana. The coordinates match, Hana said. This is where the old records pointed. They landed near the largest structure, a massive temple built from black stone. As soon as Ember stepped onto the planet's surface, the temple began to glow. It's responding to Ember, Kalia said, amazed. They walked toward the temple together. The doors opened on their own, revealing a long hallway filled with light. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing brighter as they passed. At the center of the temple, they found a large chamber. In the middle stood a pedestal with a crystal screen. When Day touched it, the screen came to life. A hologram appeared. It showed a being that looked almost human, but not quite. The being had kind eyes and wore robes covered in stars. Welcome, Dragon Rider, the hologram said in a language Day shouldn't understand, but did. You have found the Temple of Bonding. Who are you? Day asked. I am a memory of the progenitors, the hologram said. We were the first ones. We created the dragons. We partnered with humans. But humans only reached space 5 years ago, Kelia protested. The hologram smiled sadly. The humans you know are children of the originals. Long ago we spread humanity across many worlds. We gave them dragons as partners. Together they brought peace to the galaxy. What happened? Hana asked, taking notes frantically. War, the hologram said. A terrible war that nearly destroyed everything. We saved what we could. We hid humans on planets where they could grow without memory of their past. We hoped one day they would remember. The hologram changed, showing images of dragons and humans working together, building cities, exploring space, living in harmony. The Veshtar, Day said slowly. What are they? The hologram's face grew sad. An accident. Humans who were separated from their dragons by force during the war. Over millions of years they evolved to feed on energy instead of food. They forgot they were ever human. Kalia stumbled backward. No, that's impossible. I am sorry, the hologram said. But it is true. The Veshtar are human descendants changed by time and loss. Your need for energy is your soul crying out for the dragons you lost. Kalia's face went pale. She sat down hard on the floor, her whole world crumbling. Everything she believed about Veshtar superiority, about being better than humans, was a lie. Day knelt beside her. Kalia, don't, she said, tears running down her face. Don't say it's okay. My entire species is built on a lie. We're not special. We're just broken humans. Day took her hand gently. You're not broken. You evolved. You survived. That's not nothing. I've spent my whole life looking down on humans, Kalia said bitterly. And all along I was one of you. You're not less because you're related to us, Day said. You're not more because you evolved differently. You're just you, and that's enough. Kalia looked at him with her black eyes full of tears. For the first time she let someone see her pain. The hologram continued. This temple contains training for dragon riders. You must learn quickly. The enemy that destroyed our civilization is returning. What enemy? Wu asked, his hand moving to his weapon. We do not have a name for them, the hologram said. They are old. They are hungry. And they hate all life that bonds and loves. When they return, only true dragon riders can stop them. The hologram faded, leaving them in silence. So let me get this straight, Wu said. Humans and dragons are supposed to be partners. The Veshtar are actually humans, and some evil force is coming to destroy us all. That's about right, Hana said. Day looked at Ember, who was watching him with intelligent eyes. Then we train. We learn everything this temple can teach us. Over the next weeks, the temple revealed its secrets. Ancient machines taught Day how to fly with Ember through direct mental connection. He learned to channel energy through his body, to fight with dragon fire, to see through Ember's eyes across vast distances. The others trained too. Wu learned to use the temple's defensive systems. Hana studied the ancient medical knowledge. Tay revealed he had been preparing for this moment for decades, ever since he discovered hints of the progenitors, and Kalia learned to accept what she was. Not just Veshtar, not just human, but something new, something born from both. The training chamber glowed with ancient light. Day stood in the center, his eyes closed, breathing slowly. Ember circled above him, wings spread wide. The dragon had grown again, now large enough to carry a person on its back. Focus, the temple's training program said in his mind. Feel the bond. Become one. Day reached out with his thoughts. He felt Ember's presence like a warm fire in his chest. The connection grew stronger, deeper. Then suddenly he was flying. Not watching Ember fly, but actually flying. He felt the air under the dragon's wings, the power in its muscles, the joy of movement. His body back on the ground moved in perfect sync with Ember's flight. When the dragon turned, Day turned. When Ember dove, Day's stomach dropped. They were truly one being. Excellent, the training program said. You learned faster than any rider in our records. After 3 weeks in the temple, Day had changed. His body was stronger, faster, more alive. His senses were sharper. He could see in the dark, hear whispers from across the temple, feel energy flowing through everything around him. Kalia trained too, but differently. She spent hours in the library chambers reading the progenitors' true history. She learned about the original humans, about how they spread across the stars, about the partnership with dragons that made civilization possible. One night, Day found her sitting alone in the library, crying silently. Talk to me, Day said, sitting beside her. I've been so wrong, Kalia whispered. My people, the Veshtar. We've spent thousands of years believing we were superior to humans. We called you primitives. We laughed at your short lives and weak bodies. She looked at her hands. And all along, we were the broken ones. We lost our dragons and we never recovered. You're not broken, Day said firmly. Yes, we are, Kalia said. That's why we feed on energy instead of food. That's why we feel empty inside, always hungry for something we can't name. We've been mourning our lost dragons for millions of years. Day took her hand. Then maybe this is your chance to heal, to remember what you were meant to be. Kalia looked at him with her dark eyes. You're very kind for someone I used to think was beneath me. I'm just a mechanic, Day said with a small smile. No, Kalia said. You're the first human in millions of years to bond with a dragon. You're proof that my people can find their way home. She squeezed his hand. Thank you for not hating me, for what I said about humans in the beginning. We all have things to learn, Day said. Their moment was interrupted by alarms blaring through the temple. Wu came running into the library, his face urgent. Ships incoming, Wu said. A lot of them. They ran to the command center. The screen showed dozens of ships dropping out of hyperspace around the planet. Some were Veshtar military vessels. Others belonged to species Day didn't recognize. It's Vex, Kalia said, her face going pale. He brought an army. The communication system activated. Vex's face appeared, looking even crueler than before. Did you enjoy your little vacation? Vex asked mockingly. I hope you learned something useful. because now you're going to give me everything. We'll never surrender to you, Day said. I don't want your surrender, Vex said. I want your dragon. I want the temple's knowledge. I want the power to control dragons. His smile grew wider, and I already have the tools to take it. A new image appeared on the screen. Day's breath caught in his throat. It was a dragon, but something was terribly wrong. The creature was chained to a metal table. Its scales were dull and cracked. Its eyes were filled with pain and madness. This is what happens to dragons without proper care, Vex said. I captured this one years ago. I've been studying it, learning its secrets. Soon I'll know how to control all dragons, including yours, you monster, Kalia whispered. That dragon is dying. Not dying, Vex corrected. Teaching me, every experiment brings me closer to understanding dragon biology. Soon I'll be able to force the bond to make dragons obey me without their consent. Ember roared in fury. The sound shook the entire temple. T felt the dragon's rage through their bond mixing with his own anger. We have to save that dragon, Day said. It's a trap, Wu warned. He wants you to come out. I don't care, Day said. I won't leave a dragon to suffer. Hana checked her scanners. The dragon is on Vex's flagship. It's surrounded by defensive systems. Then we'll have to break through, Day said. Tay put a hand on his shoulder. Are you ready for this? True combat against an army? Day looked at Ember. The dragon's eyes met his, and he felt their bond pulse with power. Yes, they prepared quickly. Wu activated the temple's ancient defensive systems to protect Hana and Tai while they worked. Kalia put on combat armor from the temple's armory. Day didn't need armor. He had Ember. The temple doors opened, and Day walked out with Ember by his side. The dragon had grown to the size of a small horse. Its scales gleamed like mirrors in the gray light of the dead planet. Final chance, Vex's voice boomed from the ships above. Surrender now or die. Come and get us, Day said calmly. The first wave of soldiers landed around the temple. They wore heavy armor and carried advanced weapons. There were 50 of them, all trained fighters. Day closed his eyes and felt for the bond. Ember's consciousness merged with his. When he opened his eyes again, they glowed with dragonfire. The battle began. Day and Ember moved as one perfect being. The dragon breathed fire while Day directed where it should go. Day dodged and weaved while Ember protected him with wings and tail. They were faster than the soldiers could track, stronger than their weapons could harm. Within minutes, all 50 soldiers were unconscious on the ground. Day hadn't killed anyone, but he had stopped them all. The second wave came. Then the third. Each time Day and Ember fought together, their bond growing stronger with each battle. Day discovered new abilities he didn't know he had. He could create shields of pure energy. He could move so fast he seemed to teleport. He could feel attacks coming before they happened. Kalia fought beside them, her Veshtar training making her a deadly warrior. She moved through enemies like a shadow, her movements graceful and precise. But there were too many. For every soldier they defeated, 2 more took their place. We can't keep this up forever, Kalia shouted over the sounds of battle. Day knew she was right. They needed to end this quickly. He looked up at Vex's flagship hanging in the sky. I'm going up there, Day said. That's suicide, Kalia protested. Maybe, Day said, but that dragon needs help, and I'm the only one who can reach it. Before Kalia could argue, Day jumped onto Ember's back. The dragon understood immediately. Ember's wings spread wide and they launched into the sky. Flying on Ember's back was like nothing Day had ever experienced. The wind rushed past them. The ground fell away below and they soared toward the stars. Soldiers tried to shoot them down, but Ember was too fast, too agile. They crashed through the flagship's hangar shields and landed inside. Alarms blared. Security doors slammed shut. Automated weapons turned toward them. Day and Ember destroyed everything in their path. Nothing could stop them. The bond between them was too strong, their purpose too clear. Finally, they reached the laboratory where the tortured dragon was kept. Day broke down the door and ran inside. The dragon was even worse up close. Its body was covered in scars and burn marks. Machines were attached to its head, stealing its thoughts. Its wings were broken and twisted. I'm here to help, Day said softly, approaching slowly. The dragon's eyes focused on him. There was intelligence there, buried under layers of pain. The creature saw Ember and let out a weak cry. Day started removing the machines, working quickly. Ember stood guard, watching for enemies. As the last machine came off, the dragon shuddered and went still. No, Day whispered. Don't die, please. But the dragon's breathing was slowing. It was too damaged, suffering for too long. Death was a mercy now. Wu burst into the room, his weapon ready. He stopped when he saw the dying dragon. We're too late, Wu said sadly. The dragon opened its eyes one last time. It looked at Wu with an expression that seemed almost hopeful. Then it touched Wu's hand with its nose. Light exploded through the room. Day felt the bond forming, dragon and human connecting on the deepest level. The dying dragon was giving its life force to Wu, bonding with him in its final moments. Wu fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. I feel you, he whispered to the dragon. I understand. The dragon's body began to glow. It was dying, but not ending. Dragons, Day suddenly understood, never truly died. They transformed. From the dragon's body, an egg appeared, glowing with inner light. The dragon looked at Wu one last time, then closed its eyes forever. But the egg remained warm and alive. It will be reborn, Day said, understanding flowing through his bond with Ember. The dragon gave its life to you, Wu, and in return you'll raise its child. Wu picked up the egg carefully. I won't let you down, he promised the egg. Explosions rocked the ship. Vex's voice came over the intercom, screaming with rage. The flagship shook violently as Vex activated the self-destruct sequence. Red lights flashed everywhere and alarms screamed through the corridors. We have 3 minutes, Wu said, holding the dragon egg close to his chest. Day climbed onto Ember's back. Get on, he told Wu. Wu hesitated. The egg. Ember will protect it, Day said. Trust the bond. Wu climbed onto Ember's back behind Day. The dragon immediately understood the precious cargo. Ember's scales shifted, creating a protective hollow where Wu could secure the egg safely. They flew through the exploding ship, dodging falling debris and fire. Ember's wings beat powerfully, carrying them toward the hangar. Behind them, the ship was tearing itself apart. They burst out of the hangar just as the flagship exploded. The shockwave hit them hard, sending them spinning through space. For a terrifying moment, Day thought they would die in the vacuum of space. Then Ember's scales began to glow. The dragon created a bubble of breathable air around them, a shield against the deadly cold of space. Ember carried them safely back to the planet's surface. They landed near the temple where Kalia was still fighting off soldiers. When she saw them arrive safely, relief flooded her face. But her expression changed to shock when she saw the egg Wu was carrying. Is that... She started. A new dragon, Wu said, his voice full of wonder. It chose me as it died. Now I have to protect its child. More ships were landing. Vex had escaped the explosion and was even angrier now. His face appeared on every screen around the temple. You destroyed my ship, Vex snarled. You freed my test subject. You humiliated me in front of my entire fleet. His eyes were wild with rage. Now I will destroy everything you care about. A massive weapon emerged from one of the remaining ships. It was unlike anything Day had seen before, covered in strange symbols that hurt to look at. This, Vex announced proudly, is a weapon built from progenitor technology. It severs the bond between dragon and rider. Every bonded dragon in range will die instantly. Day's blood ran cold. You're insane. That will kill Ember in the egg. I know, Vex said with a cruel smile. If I can't have dragon power, no one will. Activate the weapon. The weapon began to charge, gathering terrible energy. Day felt it through his bond with Ember. It was like claws digging into his soul, trying to tear them apart. We have to stop it, Kalia said urgently. I can disable it, Wu said, but I need to get close. That's suicide, Day said. The weapon is on Vex's command ship surrounded by defenses. Then we make it possible, Wu said firmly. He looked at the egg he was holding. This little one needs a world where dragons are free. I'll die to protect that. Tay emerged from the temple, limping slightly. You won't die alone. I've got the temple's weapons online. I can give you cover. And I'll broadcast the truth, Hana said, joining them with her equipment. Every Veshitar ship needs to know what Vex is really doing. Kalia stepped forward. I'll speak to my people. They need to hear the truth from a princess. Day looked at his friends, these people who had given up everything to help him and Ember. Thank you, he said simply. The plan was risky. Tay would use the temple's ancient defensive weapons to attack Vex's fleet, creating a distraction. Hana would hack into the communication systems and broadcast Kalia's message. Wu and Day would fly on Ember to the command ship and destroy the weapon before it could fire. It had to work. They had no other choice. Tay activated the temple weapons. Beams of pure energy shot into the sky, striking Vex's ships with incredible accuracy. The ancient technology was far more powerful than anything the modern galaxy possessed. While the fleet was distracted, Hana broke through their communication blocks. Kalia's face appeared on every screen and every ship. "My name is Kalia, first princess of the Veshtar," she began, her voice steady despite her fear. "I am speaking to all Veshtar warriors. You have been lied to." On the ships, soldiers stopped fighting to listen. "We are not superior to humans," Kalia continued. "We are human. Millions of years ago, our ancestors were separated from their dragons. We evolved differently, but we are the same species. The hunger you feel, the emptiness inside, that is the loss of our bonds." Some soldiers looked shocked, others angry, but they all listened. "Vex wants to destroy the dragons to maintain his power," Kalia said. "He is using progenitor weapons that will kill every bonded dragon in the galaxy. He is trying to prevent us from healing, from becoming whole again." On one of the ships, a Veshitar captain stood up. "Is this true?" she asked her crew. One of her officers checked the weapon readings. His face went pale. "Yes, Captain. The weapon will kill all bonded dragons within 1,000 light years." The captain made a decision. All ships power down weapons. Disengage from Vex's command. One ship pulled away from the fleet, then another, then 5 more. Within minutes, half of Vex's fleet had abandoned him. Vex screamed with rage, but he couldn't stop them. He redirected all his remaining ships to protect the weapon. "Fire it now," he commanded. The weapon was almost charged. Day and Wu flew toward it on Ember's back, but defensive fire surrounded them. Energy blasts came from every direction. Ember dodged and weaved, but there were too many. One blast hit the dragon's wing, and Ember cried out in pain. They started falling. No, Day felt the pain through their bond. He pushed energy into Ember, trying to help the dragon heal, but it wasn't enough. Then Wu did something incredible. He opened himself to the egg he was carrying, and power flowed out. The egg wasn't just an egg anymore. The baby dragon inside was aware, connected to Wu through the forming bond. It lent its strength to Ember. Ember's wing healed instantly. The dragon roared and flew faster than ever before. 2 bonded pairs working together were unstoppable. They crashed through the ship's defenses and landed in the weapon chamber. Vex was there, his hands on the firing controls. "Too late," Vex said, pressing the button. The weapon fired. Day felt it like a knife in his heart. The bond with Ember started to tear apart. All around the galaxy, dragons began to scream as the weapon tried to sever every bond at once. "No," Day gasped, falling to his knees. "I won't let you." He did the only thing he could think of. He grabbed the weapon with his bare hands, trying to absorb its energy directly into his body. The pain was unimaginable. It felt like his soul was being ripped apart, but Day held on. He thought of Ember, of their friendship, of everything they had shared. He thought of Wu and the egg, of all the future riders who would bond with dragons. He couldn't let this weapon destroy them. Energy poured into Day's body. Too much energy, more than any human could hold. His body started to change, to transform. Human DNA mixing with dragon energy and ancient progenitor technology. Something new was being born. The weapon overloaded and exploded. But instead of destroying everything, the energy flowed into Day. His body absorbed it all, every last bit. When the light faded, Day stood up. But he was different now. His eyes glowed with inner fire. His skin shimmered like Ember's scales. He could feel energy flowing through his body like blood. "What are you?" Vex whispered, backing away. "I'm what humans were always meant to be," Day said. His voice echoed strangely, as if Ember was speaking with him. "A true partner to dragons." He looked at his hands. He could create energy now, store it, use it. He didn't need Ember to survive anymore. But their bond was stronger than ever, not based on need but on love. Vex tried to run, but Kalia was waiting at the door. She had boarded the ship while everyone was distracted. Now she faced her former betrothed with cold anger. "You tortured dragons," Kalia said. "You tried to enslave an entire species. You betrayed everything the Veshtar should stand for." Vex laughed bitterly. "The Veshtar stand for power. Always have, always will." "No," Kalia said. "We stood for power because we lost our purpose. Now we have a chance to find it again." She raised her weapon. "I could kill you. Part of me wants to. Then do it, Vex snarled. Kalia lowered her weapon. No, death is too easy. You'll face trial for your crimes. You'll spend the rest of your life knowing you failed. Vex's face twisted with rage, but soldiers from the defected ships arrived to take him into custody. As news of what happened spread, the entire galaxy reacted. The truth about humans and Veshtar being the same species shocked everyone. The revelation of the progenitors and dragon riders changed everything people thought they knew about history. The Galactic Coalition called an emergency session. Earth was offered a full seat on the High Council, not as junior members but as equals. The discovery that humans were the lost descendants of the progenitors gave humanity new respect across the galaxy. But more importantly, dragon eggs started appearing. The temple's activation had sent a signal across space, calling to dragons that had been hiding for thousands of years. They came to Earth seeking human partners. The age of dragon riders was beginning again. 6 months had passed since the battle at Thalrin. Earth looked different now. Dragon riders flew through the skies of every major city. The sight of humans and dragons working together had become normal, almost ordinary. Day stood on a balcony in the new Dragon Academy, looking out over New Sol. The city had grown, expanding to include landing platforms for dragons and special buildings designed for riders. Below him, young humans trained with their dragon partners, learning to fly and fight and bond. Ember landed beside him, now fully grown. The dragon was magnificent, easily 3 times the size of a horse, with scales that shimmered in rainbow colors. Ember folded massive wings and lowered its head so Day could scratch behind the ear ridges. How many new riders today? Day asked. 15 more bondings, Hana said, walking onto the balcony with her datapad. She was the head of dragon studies now, researching everything about dragon biology and human compatibility. That makes 200 total dragon riders on Earth. And the Veshtar? Day asked. Hana smiled. 30 Veshtar have successfully bonded with dragons in the last month. It's slower for them because their DNA changed so much, but it's working. They're healing. The Veshtar High Council had dissolved after the truth came out. Many Veshtar were angry at first, refusing to believe they were related to humans, but others felt relief, like a mystery had finally been solved. The hunger they always felt, the emptiness, was fading for those who bonded with dragons. Kalia walked onto the balcony, carrying 2 cups of tea. She handed one to Day and stood beside him, looking out at the city. She looked different now, too. Less cold, more alive. She had stopped wearing her formal princess clothes and now dressed in simple rider gear. The council wants to meet with you tomorrow, Kalia said. They want to discuss the frontier colonies. Day sighed. Being the first modern dragon rider came with responsibilities he never wanted. Earth's government had made him the official ambassador of the bond. He helped facilitate new dragon-human partnerships, traveled to different worlds to teach about bonding, and dealt with endless political meetings. What's happening at the frontier? Day asked. Kalia's expression darkened. Dragons are disappearing, and some human colonists have vanished too. Pirates? Hana suggested. Maybe, Kalia said. But the technology they're using is advanced. Too advanced. Wu appeared in the doorway, his young dragon Spark following behind him. The egg had hatched 2 months ago, and the baby dragon had bonded completely with Wu. Spark was still small, only the size of a large dog, but growing fast. We just got a distress call, Wu said, his face serious. He was the commander of Earth's Dragon Rider Defense Force now, a colony on the edge of known space. They're under attack. Show me, Day said. They moved to the command center. A hologram appeared showing a terrified colonist. Please, anyone who can hear this, the woman said. They came out of nowhere. Ships we've never seen before. They're taking our dragons. They're taking our people. The technology they use, it's like the progenitors, but wrong. Twisted. Please help us. The transmission cut off. Silence filled the room. The progenitors are gone, Hana said quietly. They vanished millions of years ago. Tay entered the command center walking with his cane. He looked older now, tired. But his eyes were still sharp. Not vanished, Tay said. Driven away. The temple records were clear. The progenitors didn't leave by choice. They were fleeing from something. Fleeing from what? Kalia asked. From an enemy they couldn't defeat, Tay said. An enemy that hated the bond between dragons and humans. An enemy that wanted to destroy all love, all connection, all partnership in the galaxy. Day felt a chill run down his spine. And now they're coming back. It appears so, Tay said. The activation of the temple must have alerted them. They know dragon riders have returned. Ember growled low, sensing Day's worry through their bond. Spark moved closer to Wu, seeking comfort. Then we fight, Wu said simply. That's what we do. We're not ready, Hana protested. We only have 200 riders. Most of them are still learning basic flight. Then we learn faster, Day said. He looked at his friends, the people who had stood by him from the beginning. We didn't choose this. But running away won't help. Those colonists need us. Kalia put her hand on his arm. If we go, it could be a trap. We could all die. Maybe, Day said. But we have something the enemy doesn't understand. We have the bond. We have friendship. We have each other. He looked out the window at the young riders training below. 6 months ago, these people were ordinary humans living ordinary lives. Now they were dragon riders, the first in millions of years. Humanity has always faced impossible odds, Day continued. We're not the strongest species. We're not the smartest. We don't have the best technology. But we have heart. We don't give up. We protect those who can't protect themselves. Kalia smiled at him. Over the past month, something had changed between them. The cold alien princess was gone. In her place was a woman who had learned to value compassion over power, love over duty. You've changed, Kalia said softly, from a quiet mechanic to a leader who inspires people. I'm still just a mechanic, Day said. I just have a really good dragon now, Ember snorted, amused by the comment. We should prepare for departure, Wu said. How many riders can we take? 50, Day decided. The best trained. The rest stay here to protect Earth. I'm coming, Hana said firmly. You might need a scientist. I'm coming too, Tay said. I've been preparing for this moment for decades. I won't miss it now. Over the next day, they prepared. 50 dragon riders volunteered for the mission. These were men and women from all over Earth, from every culture and background. Some were soldiers like Wu. Others were scientists, engineers, teachers. All of them had bonded with dragons and learned to fight. The night before departure, Day stood alone on the balcony with Ember. The city was quiet, peaceful. It was hard to believe danger was coming. Are you afraid? Kalia's voice asked from behind him. Day turned. She stood in the doorway, beautiful in the moonlight. Terrified, Day admitted. I'm about to lead 50 people into an unknown danger. Some of them might die because of my decisions. Kalia walked over and took his hand. Then they will die protecting something important. That's more than most people get. Is that supposed to make me feel better? Day asked. No, Kalia said. But this might. She leaned forward and kissed him. For a moment, Day forgot about the danger, the mission, everything. There was only Kalia, her lips on his, her hand in his hand. When they separated, Kalia smiled. In my culture, we have a saying, a dragon knows the worthy. I thought Ember was the one who chose you, but I think I chose you too. I'm just a mechanic who got a dragon dropped on his shoulder, Day said. No, Kalia said. You're the human who reminded the galaxy what it means to be free. You showed us that strength without compassion is just tyranny. You're the one who taught me that being human, whether Veshitar or Earthborn, is something to be proud of. And what does that make you? Day asked. Kalia thought for a moment. Yours, if you'll have a reformed princess who used to think humans were inferior. Day pulled her close. I think I can live with that. Above them, Ember roared into the night sky. Other dragons answered from across the city, their voices creating a symphony of sound. It was beautiful and powerful and full of hope. The next morning, 50 dragon riders assembled at the launch point. Their dragons stood ready, wings spread, eyes bright with intelligence and courage. Each rider wore armor designed specifically for dragon combat, light but strong. Day stood before them on Ember's back. We're going to save our people, Day said. His voice was calm but firm. We don't know what we'll face. We don't know if we'll all come back. But we know why we're going. Because that's what humans do. We protect, we defend, we stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. The riders cheered. We have dragons, Day continued. We have the bond. We have each other. The enemy thinks they can destroy us like they destroyed the progenitors, but they don't understand humanity. We adapt, we survive. We thrive, more cheering. Dragon riders, Day shouted. To the sky. 50 dragons launched into the air as one, their wings beating in perfect synchronization. They climbed higher and higher, breaking through the atmosphere into space. As they flew toward the unknown, Day felt no fear. He had Ember. He had his friends. He had Kalia flying beside him, her own dragon matching Ember's pace. Whatever waited for them out there, they would face it together. The enemy had destroyed the progenitors because the progenitors gave up. Scattered across the galaxy, hiding their human children on forgotten worlds, they thought removing the bonds would save humanity. But they were wrong. The bonds didn't make humans weak. The bonds made them strong, and now the Dragon Riders were back. Not to hide, not to run, but to fight for the future they wanted to create. Day looked ahead at the stars, at the vast galaxy full of danger and wonder. Ember's thoughts mixed with his own, and together they felt ready for anything. "Let's show them what Dragon Riders can do," Day said to Ember. The dragon roared in agreement. Behind them, New Soul grew smaller, but Day knew they would return. They would save the colonists. They would face the enemy, and they would win. Because that's what Dragon Riders did. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for the last time. Now it was time to show them the truth.